Greetings to everyone out there in the NoDQ galaxy. Welcome to another edition of NoDQ Live here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRiftNoDQ. I am here to review the worst show in television right now, Monday Night Raw. Another very lackluster episode, but I did sit through all 3 hours because it is my job. Otherwise, I would do what most of you out there are doing at this point and watching the YouTube clips. If that. Anyways, welcome to everyone in the chat room watching live, and thank you, of course, to everyone watching on demand. It is much appreciated. So let's go ahead and get started. Monday Night Raw opened up with Elias. It had potential. The show had potential at the beginning with Elias opening the show. Ken, terminated by Google, left a $5 super chat donation. If you can sing Shake Your Ass by Mystical, I'll give you a dozen tacos, LOL. Well, I'm not a big taco guy, so that's not going to work with me. Unless it's Taco Grande. Maybe then I'll have some tacos. But I'll talk about the taco segment here in just a moment. One moment before we get to tacos. We had Elias do his usual promo. Who wants to walk with Elias? WWE stands for We Want Elias or whatever. It's the usual thing, but I do enjoy Elias. I feel like he is one of the more entertaining acts on Monday Night Raw. We had, of course, an interruption from Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins came out and the two of them started to fight. We had Jinder Mahal interfere, and you know where this is going, guys. As soon as Jinder Mahal hit the ring, you knew where this was going. We had the big dog, Roman Reigns, come out and even the odds, and at least we got it a little bit different, I guess. Maybe that's the positive. Instead of a commercial, and then when we come back from the commercial, we have Michael Cole say, during the commercial break, General Manager Kurt Angle made this a tag team match. Instead, we actually had Kurt Angle come out in the role of Teddy Long and say, I'm going to turn this into a tag team match. And we got the Kurt Angle line. This match starts now. So we did get that. Wasn't really anything different, just the usual crap. Talking segments, interruptions, match being started now, commercial break, we have a match, another commercial break, the match continues, and then the bad guys won. We had Jinder Mahal and Roman, the big dog, fight outside in the crowd, and that led to, I believe, a steel chair getting involved. I believe Elias gave Seth Rollins a DDT on the steel chair, which was not a DQ because Kayfabe Candy Ass brings this up in the chat room. Elias used the chair in front of the referee. Technically, it wasn't Elias using the chair forcefully. He just DDT'd Rollins and the chair happened to be there. So I guess the referee could overlook that. And Singh brought it in. So it wasn't Elias's fault, just like it wasn't Snitsky's fault. It wasn't Elias's fault that the chair was in the ring. It just happened to be there. So I'm okay with that. I'm not going to complain about that. I think that's nitpicking. It did play into the finish. Elias hit his finishing move, whatever it's called. I'm not even sure. I'm sure somebody in the chat room will let me know on that. We had Elias pick up the win over Seth Rollins, so he has some momentum. The heel has momentum heading into Money in the Bank, which is fine. Not going to complain. Again, it's nitpicking. It does make sense for the challenger to gain some momentum, and everyone corrected me here in the chat room. It's the drift away. Not really correcting me, just pointing out what the finisher is called. I'm not really sure off the top of my head what some of these moves are, but it is in fact the drift away. Braden, could the camera be any more shaking during the Jinder Mahal and Roman Reigns backstage fight? So we'll go ahead and talk relates to this first match. We had a backstage segment. I think this was like an hour into the show or 2 hours into the show. We had Jinder Mahal cutting a promo backstage, and then apparently Roman Reigns could hear everything he was saying. Roman Reigns was saying, you know what, you talk a lot of trash, and I'm going to come find you and beat you up. And Roman Reigns walked through the backstage area. He asked someone, where's Jinder? And they pointed in the right direction. So they knew exactly where Jinder Mahal was, and Roman did not. Whatever. Roman finally found Jinder. Jinder threw the things, and then the two of them brawled. And yeah, extremely shaky camera work, I guess, to make it more exciting than it actually is. Typical WWE with their shaky camera work, which you guys know I love very much. Hopefully you guys can detect the sarcasm if you've been watching me for a while now. It was lame. It was giving me a migraine watching that. And that was it. It was just a little brawl backstage, and that was it for Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal on this show. John says the backstage segment was lame. I agree. It was quite weak. King Taco Bell, speaking of tacos, says, so it was the same thing as 2 weeks ago. Well, 2 weeks ago, I think, was when Roman speared Jinder through the cardboard wall. Maybe it was 3 weeks ago. I don't remember exactly. Whenever that London Raw was. Anyways, speaking of tacos, I know you guys have been talking about tacos in the chat room. This was probably the best segment on the show. We had Curt Hawkins talk about how he's 0-199, and he said if he wins this match, he will give everybody in the arena a free taco. I liked this. This was creative, and we knew where it was going, but it was still fun. We had against an enhancement talent. I don't remember his name. John Henry? I'm not even sure. I'm sure I'm way off on it. Somebody will correct me and give me the right name. I'm just guessing John Henry off the top of my head. James Harden. Wow, I was way off. James Harden. Sounds like somebody famous, but not sure off the top of my head. Anyways, it was Curt Hawkins versus James Harden, and then Baron Corbin, who is now known as Constable Baron Corbin, by the way. Apparently this James Harden guy is an NBA player. Not sure how I would think of an NBA player or be reminded of an NBA player when I don't watch basketball, but there you go. It just sounds like a famous person. So I guess he's famous. Big Jeffrey, or excuse me, Certified G, Jeffrey. I guess he's Certified G now since Enzo's gone. He's the new Certified G, Big Jeffrey. He left a $5 super chat donation. Thank you for that. If Money in the Bank is horrible, I might protest WWE for a while. Believe that, WWE. I wish I could protest. I really do. I really hope Money in the Bank is a decent show. Right now, going in, I feel like Money in the Bank is going to be a crappy show. I'm sure NXT TakeOver will be great. Money in the Bank, I have very low expectations going in. So I'm just hoping it's a good show. If it's a good show, it will be better than my expectations. Yeah, so this James Harden guy, I guess, is a basketball player. But the enhancement talent was also using that name. We had Constable Baron Corbin come out and attack the Jobber, which led to the Jobber winning by DQ, and thus Curt Hawkins, his defeated streak continues. He's now 0-200. After the match, Curt Hawkins was upset, and that led to Corbin flipping the table of tacos onto Hawkins. So all those tacos going to waste. I feel bad for the starving people of the world. They could have had those tacos, but WWE is putting smiles on people's faces, and it is what it is. I did enjoy this segment, though. I was entertained by it. Like I said, probably the highlight of this show. Woken King says tacos are greater than pancakes. I agree on that. Well, not really. I actually like pancakes. I just don't like the New Day's routine with the pancakes. But I am a big pancake person. I'm not really a taco person. I'm not really a Mexican food person, which might disappoint some people out there. Just never big on Mexican food. My parents would take me to the Mexican restaurants, and I would just eat a bunch of black olives. True story. And the chips, tortilla chips. And that's pretty much it. So moving on here, back to Monday Night Raw. Let's stick to wrestling and not talk about food here. Virtue says we're eating Mexican Money in the Bank weekend. I'm getting deep dish Chicago pizza. I don't know about you, Virtue, but I'm picking out on pizza when I'm in Chicago. Travis W says you don't like pancakes from Big E's singlet. That is a very good point. I agree on that. Snipe Rider says food is greater than WWE. Yeah, I would agree on that. I would say food is very good. I would say it's pretty good. I wanted to talk about this crowd. I feel like this was a really weak Raw crowd. It seemed like it was mainly families and kids, and thus there wasn't a lot of heat on this show. I'm really dreading tomorrow. Tomorrow is SmackDown in Corpus Christi. And by the way, now I have to rant about SmackDown. They're doing another contract signing. Really? I thought one a month was enough, but no, we're getting 2 contract signing segments to hype up Money in the Bank. One for Raw, one for SmackDown. Man, they're just really trying my patience here. Another contract signing. You gotta be kidding me. Nakamura, AJ Styles. Yuck. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Even with Corpus Christi and a contract signing, I still think SmackDown will be better than Raw. Virtue says Aaron likes smarky crowds. I just like crowds that are into the show, and it felt like this crowd was very lackluster. I miss that Montreal crowd. That was an awesome crowd. That was one of the best WWE crowds of the year. And they were not really a smart crowd. I guess they were because they were booing Reigns heavily, but they were really into the show and they were into the matches, and it had a good flow with that crowd. I really enjoyed that Montreal crowd. I wish the crowds every week were like that crowd. Montreal's my new favorite city, by the way, just because they were a really fun crowd, and they made Raw a better show because they were so into what was going on. But then again, I really don't blame the crowds that are dead for Raw because they really don't have much to cheer for. I'm trying to think, were there any really great matches on this show? We had a women's 6-women tag team match. The Riot Squad. Ruby Riott still has her happy-go-lucky music against Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss did an injury angle with her hamstring or something, and it was 2-on-3. And then we had Bayley come out. I know I'm skipping ahead a bit. I know this was in the 3rd hour, but it was just on my mind, so I'll talk about it now. I'll go a little bit ahead here. Bayley came out and basically took Alexa's spot in the match. Bayley won for her team. And Constable Corbin said that this is unacceptable because she is not allowed to enter the match. Apparently, it's in the WWE rulebook. You know what I thought was in the WWE rulebook? That the referee's decision is final. When the referee makes a call, only the referee can reverse it. Not even the people in charge can reverse it. Referee's decision is final. And here's the other thing too. Correct me if I'm wrong, but a couple of weeks ago with the Greatest Royal Rumble, Wasn't this the rule where the referee's decision was final in the steel cage match and it was not overruled by Kurt Angle or Stephanie McMahon? I seem to remember that being the case, that the referee called it as a Lesnar win, so it was a Lesnar win. But here we are 3 weeks later, and apparently Kurt Angle can change a referee's decision. Okay. I like the storyline of Baron Corbin basically being a prick to Kurt Angle. Oops, I said prick. If I'm Brad Maddox, I could get fired. But I like this storyline in theory of Baron Corbin, just being an asshole to Kurt Angle and talking to Stephanie and threatening to talk to Stephanie. Basically, Kurt Angle is just a little weakling because he's afraid of getting fired, and I'm not really sure I'm a fan of that, but if this was written better, I think that it could be a really interesting storyline with Baron Corbin and Kurt Angle, but the writing is very subpar, and thus I'm not really feeling it so far. Some people like the Constable Corbin nickname, and I guess it's something for him to do, but yeah, so far, you really have to just check your brain at the door when it comes to this storyline. Virtue said he got a commercial on here. I'm not sure what he's talking about, but whatever. Going back to earlier on the show, I mentioned Alexa Bliss doing an injury angle, and we had another injury angle. So we had two women's injury angles on this show. We had Natalya versus Nia Jax. Big Jeffrey, Certified Jeffrey, just left another $5 super chat donation. Thank you for that, by the way. They're giving us the forget me pill from Arrested Development and want us to forget rules in history. Yeah, pretty much. Or what is that meme with the guy with the potion? I think it's The Matrix, maybe, or Men in Black. I'm not sure. One of those movies. I'm not really sure off the top of my head. But I know there's a meme with a guy holding a bottle of potion and saying, "You did not remember this." Somebody in the chat room, I'm sure like 20 people will tell me what it's a reference to. But anyways, I wanted to talk about the Nia Jax match. Yeah, it was Men in Black. Or was it Matrix? See, I'm not sure. I'm all confused now. Red or blue pill? Yeah, what's the red or blue pill from? Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I'm not really sure. There's a thing of somebody holding a potion bottle. People are telling me it's the Matrix. Somebody else is saying it's the Men in Black. I'm getting confused now. You guys are confusing me. You're really confusing me. But I'm just going to move past this now because I'm getting very confused with the whole potion meme. Yeah, let's talk about Nia Jax. So I'm not sure what's going on with Nia Jax. Is she a babyface or is she a heel? This week she showed some compassion. We had Natalya. I think she was running and she jumped up on Nia's back, and then when she hit the mat, she started selling her leg, and then Nia Jax, of course, took advantage and won the match. And afterwards, Nia teased that she was going to do something to Natalya. Ronda was on commentary. Oh, I wanted to mention Ronda's commentary. She brought up a line about her husband. I'm trying to remember what the line was now. I'm going to need somebody to help me with it. But she said the line twice. She said it when the match started, and then she said it again during the commercial break. Right for the picking, I think it was. I'm sure now I'll get like 20 comments in the chat room. She said, "Only my husband can have me ripe for the picking." She said it twice. Once at the beginning of the match, and then she said it again after the commercial break, and it was so lame. David Otunga was in fact doing commentary tonight, and I will get to that here in a second. Rift Erickson. Holy crap! Rift Erickson just left a $2 super chat donation, so I have to acknowledge him because he left the donation. This week I call in Full Flesh Return 8/20/2018. Really? Rift Aronson is going to call in to NoDQ Live, I guess this weekend if I do the call-in video. By the way, you guys should check it out if you haven't watched it yet. I did a special NoDQ Live on Friday, I believe. It was dedicated to call-ins, so make sure you check that out. And yes, David Otunga was filling in for Jonathan Coachman, who was doing another week of his golf tournament, whatever it is. I think this is the last week. I think Coachman said on Twitter that next week he'll be back, and he'll be back for the remaining 48 weeks of Raw over the next year. So whatever. Doesn't matter to me. Otunga, Booker T, Jonathan Coachman. The quality is about the same. Maybe Coachman's a little bit better, but not much. Otunga is just bland as hell, and Booker T is just bad. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, stick to golf, coach. Ken Terminated Google left a $2 super chat donation. Natty might blame Ronda for the leg injury. We'll have to see what happens. So anyways, we had Ronda come out and tell Nia to back off, and Nia actually showed a little bit of compassion. So I guess she's not a full-fledged heel, or she's a tweener, or she's the female Big Show, and she's going to switch roles every single week. Who knows? One way that this could make sense would be if Natalya does, in fact, use this as a reason to interfere in the match. She could blame Ronda Rousey. She could be getting payback at Nia Jax by interfering, cashing in Money in the Bank if she wins it. But will she be in the match now? Because WWE's teasing that these injuries to Nia Jax, or excuse me, not Nia Jax, Natalya and Alexa Bliss, these injuries could potentially jeopardize their spots in Money in the Bank. I think there's a fatal four-way match next week, and I guess there's a big question mark. Will Natalya and Alexa Bliss be able to participate in those matches? Moving on here, let's talk about the Bobby Lashley. I know, we have to talk about it. I really don't want to. Todrick, the injuries were storyline. Rift Aronson left a $2 super chat donation. Highly unlikely is still possible. 8/20/18. Rift Aronson is coming back. I'm scared. But speaking of something that's scary, let's talk about Bobby Lashley and Sami Zayn. This frustrates me because for those of you that have been watching for a long time, you know I'm a big fan of Sami Zayn, aka El Generico. And all 220 of you watching live right now, you guys know if you've been watching for a while. If you're not a regular viewer, then yeah, I'm a big Bobby Lashley, or excuse me, I'm a Bobby Lashley fan to some degree, but I've been a really big Sami Zayn fan for a long time. And this has to be the first pay-per-view match with Lashley that I do not care about at all. I am dreading this match. It might turn out to be good, but I am really dreading this match on paper. We had Bobby Lashley come out and tell Sami Zayn to confront him man to man. Sami Zayn, his music hit. For some reason, he came out through the crowd. He was in the crowd cutting a promo, saying he's not going to get in the ring because of the way that Lashley shook his hand on last week's show. And then Sami Zayn proceeded to bring up Lashley's Instagram account. And basically, he said that Lashley is insincere. Lashley would write all these inspirational messages, but then Zayn made a fake account and complimented Lashley. And then Lashley responded by sending a link to his fan club where you can spend money to buy his merchandise. What's funny is you could swap Bobby Lashley with John Cena, and this would be just as legitimate of an argument. But yeah, Sami Zayn, I kind of take his side on this, you know? Bobby Lashley marketing himself and using the inspirational quotes to build his brand and ultimately make money. I kind of side with Sami Zayn here. And Lashley's comeback was just really weak. He didn't have that strong of a delivery to counter-argue Sami Zayn. He's just saying, "What are you doing? Where are you going?" That was basically his comeback. And that was the segment. His music just played and that was it. It was a really weak segment. Let's talk about the other Bob who's struggling on Monday Night Raw. It seems like if your name is Bob or Bobby, you're not doing too well on Monday Night Raw right now. Bob, aka Bobby Roode, versus Braun Strowman. Poor Bob Roode. He is just in a real dead spot right now where he has no momentum. He's in the Money in the Bank match, but nobody takes him seriously. He basically jobbed out to Braun Strowman. I did like the ladder spot, though, where Roode set up the ladder and then tried to use that as a barrier between him and Strowman. Strowman was like, "Bitch, I don't give a damn about this ladder," and then he proceeded to just smash the ladder. That was cool. That was a fun spot. I liked that. But then we had the rest of the match, which was just Strowman power slamming poor Bob Roode, and that was that. No heel turn, no real tease of a heel turn. I did like Roode's reaction to Strowman smashing the ladder, but we really need a heel turn from Roode. I don't know what the deal is with him, but yeah, this segment didn't do Roode any favors whatsoever. It was funny, but not really good in terms of people caring about Bobby Roode's act. Bradley says it's the curse of bad booking, Aaron. So speaking of bad booking, let's talk about the Tag Team Battle Royal. There was one team that I felt had some credibility here. And guess what? They were the first team eliminated. Of course, I'm talking about Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. Why? Why even put this tag team in this match if you're not going to book them to win? Why? Why? It just made them a joke. Ziggler was eliminated right off the bat, and then Drew McIntyre beat up all the remaining teams. So basically you're saying Drew McIntyre is the star here and everybody else is nothing. It was so lame. I was not a fan of this at all. And of course, the B team wins since they're the only team getting a push right now. But they're still a comedy act, and I don't think they should be winning at Money in the Bank. Anything's possible, but if they win, then we might as well just give up on the tag team division. No Authors of Pain again. We did have a promo from Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, so at least they were on the show this week. I'll give WWE that. They at least made an appearance. But yeah, not really feeling this tag team title match. But hey, the Kickoff needs a match, right? So I guess this will be the Kickoff match. There's 11 matches for Money in the Bank. I'm assuming that there's not going to be 12. And this match will be the Kickoff. Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt against the B team. And hopefully Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt put these guys out of their misery and Authors of Pain come back and we actually have a proper tag team title feud. That would be nice, but not getting my hopes up. Todrick says Bray Wyatt should not be on the Kickoff. Agreed, but what else goes on the Kickoff? What match of the 11 matches Which one would you put on the kickoff? Ken Terminated by Google left a $2 super chat donation. I thought you liked the B team. You don't want them to win? I'm over the B team. That segment last week turned me off on the B team. That's how bad it was. I don't care about them anymore. I want Bo Rida back. I don't care about anything else. I just want Bo Rida back. Braden says Bobby Lashley versus Zayn for the kickoff. Yeah. I can agree on that one. I mean, Bobby Lashley in the kickoff, I mean, why even bring the guy back to the company if you're just going to put him on the kickoff? But as far as hype goes, yeah, I think that match probably belongs on the kickoff. Somebody here said, Asai, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, Jinder versus Roman Reigns kickoff? Yeah, right. That ain't going to happen. But if Jinder Mahal versus Roman Reigns closes the pay-per-view, I will be giving away a free NoDQ.com t-shirt of your choosing to anybody that retweets the tweet I sent out on Twitter. Go check it out on my feed if you haven't seen it yet. Retweet it, and if that match closes the pay-per-view, I will give one random person a NoDQ.com t-shirt of your choice. And you can check them out. Check out the t-shirts, of course, over at NoDQ.com/shirts. NoDQ.com/shirts. So let's talk about the main event, which was Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor, which I really didn't care about because before this, they announced a Fatal 4-Way match for next week. So why should I care about this match when I'll see these two guys plus two other people have a Fatal 4-Way match on next week's show? This felt like a total filler match, and it pretty much was. Oh, I forgot to mention Big Show. Big Show came out with the Special Olympics people. Big Show's back. He's looking in good shape. I'm assuming he will wrestle again at some point. So just wanted to mention that. Big Show did make an appearance. We had Owens and Balor, which really wasn't a great match. It was just okay, and it had a DQ finish. We had Kevin Owens getting DQ'd out of nowhere. I guess he did not break the 5 count or something. I'm not even sure what it was. But Owens was DQ'd. He brought out the ladder. He was teasing that he was going to do the frog splash off the top of the ladder, but hesitated. And Balor took advantage of that. He climbed the ladder, and Balor hit the coup de grace, double foot stomp, whatever you want to call it, on Owens. And then he climbed the ladder and grabbed the briefcase, and that was Raw. Yeah, this was not a very good show. With the exception of the taco segment and Braun breaking the ladder, this was a pretty lousy Raw. Still no Jason Jordan. Is there anything I'm missing? I feel like there's always 1 or 2 segments I'm missing from this show. So somebody in the chat room, let me know if there's something I did not talk about from this Raw, or if there's something else I didn't mention that you would like me to discuss. Letter grade for the show. Definitely below average. This has got to be... I'll give it a D+, I guess. I did like the taco segment. You know what? D. Not even giving it a D+. This was a D Raw. Because when you have a friggin' taco segment as the highlight, what does that tell you about Raw overall? And I like the Braun Strowman spot, but a cool spot doesn't make a 3-hour show. It was close to the worst Raw of the year. Last week was pretty bad. The last couple of weeks have been pretty bad overall. So, yeah, I got to give it a D. Definitely a below average Raw. No way Jose on this Raw. Did I talk about the Axe commercial? 3 times. 3 times I had that rapper guy saying, "Ball, suck my ball, balla." Yeah, I hate that commercial. But that commercial is still more entertaining than this Raw. Eugene says Raw was boring. I'm seeing a lot of D's. I'm seeing a couple of F's here. So Clearly, I'm not the only guy. Apparently, last week's Raw was the second lowest watched Raw in history, next to the, I believe, September 26th, somewhere around there, 2016, which was up against the Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump debate. It's the sweet one. I hate that commercial too. That one's the worst one. That commercial drives me nuts. And the Coke commercials are annoying too. They had a new one this week, in addition to the other one that they've been airing over the past month or so. And Nationwide is also on my side, so that's good to know. What is up with That's the Sweet One guy? He's like some cheap Michael Jackson knockoff. That's his gimmick. I don't know. It's just so annoying. The Cricket Wireless commercial, I'm not sure what that one is, so it's not a bad enough commercial for me to remember it. I usually remember either the really good or really bad commercials. Oh, I guess he's a Prince knockoff, the sweet one guy. No Little Lungs this week. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, a girl like you deserves a bigger network. See, this is how you know I watch Raw, because I know what the commercials are. I'm not even going to talk about Camp WWE because I'm not a fan of that show. I do like the Something Else to Wrestle With. I have been watching some of those videos on the network, and I've been pretty entertained by it. So I get the hype, because I never listened to their actual podcasts, but once it went on the network, I did check out some of the videos, and I do recommend it. I did like the Russo one. I thought it was entertaining, and I'm on the Shawn Michaels one right now. I think it's a pretty good series. Pretty good. Yeah, the Russo episode is on the network. It's one of the few shows on the network where they actually talk about behind the scenes stuff, and they actually break kayfabe. I mean, a lot of WWE documentaries, they kind of do it a little bit, but not really. But with the Pritchard show, I mean, they talk about all the behind the scenes stuff, which I find to be interesting, and I'm sure a lot of you do as well. So it's a nice addition to the network. I hope they keep doing it. Yeah, the Mega Powers was a good one. Although I have to say, some of Bruce Pritchard's impressions are not that good. He does a good Randy Savage one, but some of the other ones are pretty rough. The Jim Cornette one is just cringeworthy. I've definitely heard better Jim Cornette impressions. Retro Mitman with a $5 super chat donation. I guess he wants me to talk about something other than WWE. With rumors of Rick Grimes leaving The Walking Dead, do you think we will see him in WWE? No, because I sense that Andrew Lincoln knows what a quality television show is and doesn't want to be affiliated with crap, which is maybe a reason why he's leaving The Walking Dead. And if that's the case, then I think WWE would be the last place he would go, if he wants to be seen as a credible actor. Bradley says Fear the Walking Dead has been the better show. I agree on that. I have definitely enjoyed Fear the Walking Dead more than The Walking Dead at this point. I'm assuming they're going to merge the two shows, especially if Andrew Lincoln and the actress that plays Maggie, I'm not sure, Lauren Cohen, I think her name is. If they leave the show, I mean, why even keep it going? But whatever. Like WWE, as long as there's some people watching and the ratings are decent, they'll keep it going. John Tompkins says, what's your favorite video game? Well, wrestling-wise, has to be No Mercy or WrestleMania 19, Day of Reckoning. Those would be my top 3 wrestling games. Top video game period, probably. Actually, I might say Super Mario Odyssey, because that was a really fun game, but also that's fresh in my memory. I really liked Chrono Trigger back in the day, as far as RPG games go. I liked Link to the Past. I'm more old school, so I definitely like the old Super Nintendo games, and I do like Super Mario Maker, which was on the Wii U. Snipe Rider says, who's your favorite WWE superstar? Right now or all time? Right now, I like Seth Rollins, but I might go with Aiden English as far as current guys go. Just as far as guys who are entertaining me the most, Aiden English might be the guy for me right now. Elias is getting up there. He is growing on me. But I'm not sure if you meant all time or just currently. All right, here's a good question from TB12 is Key, greatest of all time. What would you say is an A+ Raw from history? Great question, and I will give you a couple of A+ Raws right now, since I'm always bitching about lousy Raws. Let's talk about some great Raws. Okay, the night after A Cold Day in Hell, 1997, actually, scratch that. I think it might have been the night after Revenge of the Taker, the April pay-per-view from 97. It was the night after Bret Hart versus Steve Austin and Undertaker versus Mankind. I think it was Revenge of the Taker. Somebody can help me in the chat room. But that Raw where Steve Austin had the street fight with Bret Hart and then beat him up in the ambulance, and Gorilla Monsoon was like, "You're out of control," and Steve Austin was like, "You're damn right." That was a great Raw. That was one of my all-time favorite Raws. And Brian Pillman came out at the end and beat up Austin. That Raw was awesome. The one where Bret Hart used profanity with the cage match. I think that was the go-home show for WrestleMania 13. Frustrated isn't the goddamn word for it. This is bullshit. That was a great Raw. A lot of the 98 Raws were great. The one with Mike Tyson, definitely an A+ Raw. One of the best Raws of all time. Paul Bearer coming out at the beginning and bragging about setting The Undertaker on fire. That was an awesome promo. If you want to see a great heel in action, watch that promo with Paul Bearer. And of course, the DX segment with Shawn coming down as The Undertaker and Triple H with the weenies, the man weenie and the boy weenie. That segment was hilarious. And then a few weeks later, with Mike Tyson joining DX, that was another A+ Raw. The Undertaker returning at the end. Basically, watch any Raw from 97, 98. I'm trying to think of Raws where from start to finish, I thought it was a really excellent show. There was one in 2000 where, I think it was the week after the Radicals debuted. It might have been 2 weeks. It was the one where they had a 10-man tag team match. It was the Radicals and DX against The Rock, Cactus Jack, and Too Cool. That was one of the best Raw main events of all time. If you haven't seen that, as soon as this video's done, I would say go watch that just to cleanse yourself from tonight's awful edition of Monday Night Raw. Those are the ones off the top of my head. And you know what? The night after Survivor Series 2001, when Ric Flair came back and Jerry Lawler came back, and they basically just ended the Alliance storyline and hit the reset button. That was a really fun Raw. Steve Austin finally going back to being a babyface. I really enjoyed that one a lot. Kiss My Ass Club, William Regal. That Raw was really good. And even though the Alliance angle pretty much sucked, the big one, I have to say the segment with the Alliance being formed in Atlanta, the Phillips Arena, that Raw was great. That was a really memorable Raw, with Paul Heyman forming ECW again, and then the Alliance forming at the end. Power Packer 90 says the Stephanie Triple H marriage episode. Yeah, I like that one too. That was a good one. I really don't remember anything else other than that segment, but that was a good one. The Rock's return in 2001. That one was pretty good. The Raw before Invasion, when Steve Austin came out, beat up the Alliance. That one, because that was a show-long thing. Yeah, Asai just mentioned it. Raw where Austin saved Team WWE. Because they opened up the show with SmackDown, with Vince wanting the old Stone Cold back and Austin walking off. Awesome segment, and then the whole show was built around what's Austin gonna do. And that's what I miss from Raw, like where you have a whole show built around the storyline, and you cut to the storyline throughout the show. You would go to the bar where Austin was at, and then you would see another clip of him later in the show, and then he would leave, and then he would show up in the arena, and then he would finally come out, and you would have all these different clips. That was just a great episode of Raw, and then Steve Austin coming out and the crowd just going nuts. And of course, WWE, what do? They turn Austin back heel the next week. But that Raw was great. That one was really fun. It is depressing, though, to watch knowing what they did a week later. A lot of the Raws after WrestleMania are memorable. The 99 one with Steve Austin wanting the Smoke and Skull belt back. Again, a show-long storyline. It started with Austin wanting the belt back. McMahon, the backstage segments, telling Patterson and Briscoe to get the belt. And then Shane coming out with the belt at the end. And then you had all these other segments, X-Pac talking about how he was betrayed by Triple H. See, I remember this stuff. So that's how I know it was a good Raw, because I remember off the top of my head, I remember a lot of these segments. Mankind winning the title, that was another great Raw. I mean, there were so many great ones in 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001. 2002, I feel like it started to decline a little bit. But I did like the Raw where Rock challenged Hogan for WrestleMania. That was a good one. Man, trying to remember great Raws from the past decade other than the post-WrestleMania Raws. That one's tough for me. I do, of course, remember the CM Punk. What's funny, though, is I seem to remember that Raw where Punk did the pipe bomb. I seem to remember that being like a terrible Raw up until that segment. I seem to remember that Raw just being unbearable, and then all of a sudden CM Punk does the pipe bomb and everyone loses their shit. Braden, I do like that one where Triple H was revealed as Shawn's attacker. That was a good one. I do remember that one. Bischoff as the Raw GM. That was a good Raw too. That one was really surreal. But yeah, I remember that one as well. And I think I've mentioned most of my favorite ones off the top of my head. Go check those out on the WWE Network for just $9.99. But anyways, guys, I will go ahead and wrap up this edition of NoDQ Live. Thank you all very much for watching. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest regarding Money in the Bank. Head over to NoDQ.com/Chicago. Y2J's debut. That was another great one. That was also, I think Jesse Ventura was on that show as well. So that was another great one. There's a lot more I can mention, but there's a starting point for you guys, the ones I mentioned on this video. But maybe we'll talk more about this tomorrow night. I'll be back tomorrow night for another edition of NoDQ Live. Make sure you follow Kayfabe Candy Ass at NoDQ.com/KCA. And follow Virtue, NoDQ.com/Virtue. Follow Big Jeffrey at NoDQ.com/GEOFF. And then, of course, Jeff Meacham at NoDQ.com/JEFF. The other Jeff. Two Jeffs on NoDQ.com. Different spelling of their names, though. And that's all I got for this video. Thank you all very much for watching. I appreciate your viewership. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys tomorrow night for more.